Well, hello everybody. As Rob mentioned, my name is Ben Otterbacher, and I am the lab specialist in the Baxter Innovation Lab. The lab has two parts, the Fab Lab, which is where I am now, and the shop, which I will show you in a second. So we have a lot of 3D printers in this room. There are some on that wall that you can see. We also have electronics, which is something that people work on a lot. We have students in the BET program, which is Electrical Engineering Technology, who have come here and worked on projects. We also have some specialized equipment, such as this, which is a Formlabs 3D printer. It prints in a resin material using a laser to cure the resin. As you can see, some of the parts it can make, they're very precise compared to other 3D prints. They're also more homogeneous. There's less seams, and you can get several different kinds of resin, some that are more durable. It is a more expensive option, but this printer is here for you to use if you are a CLC student and want to come into the lab to work on a project. There are two more of our 3D printers. This is a vinyl cutter. It is essentially a large printer. It can print on various forms of plastic, sticker material. We use it to make labels for things. That was printed on it. The window stickers were. Several instructors around the school have come to us for various labeling needs. If I move over here, here is a table with some examples of 3D printed objects. All of these were printed in the lab. Some things, as you can see, are more functional. Others are more artistic in nature. A lot of these are meant to demonstrate the various things you can do with our 3D printers. If any of these interest you, or you have a project that you have in mind, this could be an option for you to come here as a student. This is a printer that we have currently running, printing a part. It's about 20% finished so far, but this is one of our Delta 3D printers, which uses a different mechanism than the standard Cartesian system. It allows it to print fairly quickly. We have two of these. All right, we also have two laser cutters that you can see here. We have a smaller one from Epilog, and then a larger Versalaser. Here are some parts that were cut on these cutters. This is a small box that was cut out of flat sheet plywood and then assembled. This is an example of using varied laser power to raster an image onto a board. So the laser was basically burning the wood at different temperatures to create different colors. You can still see the wood pattern in there, but that's an example of a more artistic project. You can also etch on glass with these lasers. And that's an example of an acrylic project that someone has done. Acrylic is a plastic material, which is more expensive to use than wood, but can be used structurally. There are some more things that have been cut out. This is our Versalaser, as I mentioned before. There's an example of how something would look as it was being cut. This is one of the boxes that you've seen previously. Now I'm going to move over to our shop, which has some woodworking tools as well as metalworking tools. If I start here, we have a miter saw, which is basically used to cut stock for other projects for the most part. Here we have a scroll saw, which can be used for cutting out fine detail on pieces, as you can see here. This is a bowl that was cut on the scroll saw and then glued together in, looks like 4 layers here. We have a grinder for some metalworking projects and a drill press. We also have in here 2 CNC machines. CNC machines are computer controlled, and This one is a 4-axis machine, which means it has 4-axis motion. It uses a mill, a spinning end mill, to cut out various parts. Here are some example parts. As you can see, there are a lot of cylindrical pieces here. These were created on the Roland MDX40, which is this machine. It has the ability to flip parts over, such as this one, which, as you can see, was milled on both sides to create a 3-dimensional object. We also have a ShotBot, which is the 3-axis CNC machine. We use this mostly on large flat pieces of wood. It's technically a CNC router. Here are some things that have been created on it. As you can see, these are mostly flat pieces, like under 1 inch in thickness, but they can be cut out and then stacked on top of each other and glued in order to create larger pieces. Here is a project that a staff member at the college was working on. It was an electric ukulele. This was the prototype. The actual version has some really, really nice wood. It looks really cool. I wish we had a picture of that. Let's move on to the metalworking tools. We have here a 3-axis manual mill. This is one of the only tools we have that can cut metal. We use it for aluminum projects, for when more precision is required or more strength. This is a manual lathe. It is used to turn or spin pieces of metal and then cut out the edges of them to create round stock pieces. I have some examples here. These 3 parts were created on these 2 pieces of equipment. The 2 on the outer edges were made on the lathe. As you can see, one was threaded to accept the screw, and the one in the center was created on the mill. There is a belt sander, which is used for finishing pieces of wood. All right, we move over here. We'll see what Rob mentioned earlier. This is a robot which was created for the Lake County Robotics Competition. This one was created by one of our interns in the lab. And this is the kit that you would be getting if you were to participate in that competition. As you can see, we have a lot more of them, so it should be fun. All right, that pretty much concludes the tour. Those are all of the main components of the lab. I hope I see you guys here sometime.